Be sure to follow us on TikTok at MysticSage1 for daily anime content. It's Saturday, and you all know what that means. What's that? You don't? Well, I'll tell you then. It means it's time for another My Hero Academia Season 5 review. In last week's episode, we saw a bit from Hawks on the state of the villains' plans. As it turns out, it seems the League of Villains is working with the Liberation Army, and they've got some big plans for society in just 4 months. That said, Hawks is doing his best to make sure their ambitions do not come to pass. On the other end of things, Endeavor continues his tutelage of 1A's Big 3 in order to make them into the best heroes they can be, in preparation for what's to come in just 4 months' time. With that recap out of the way, let's hop into this week's episode and see what the UA students are up to. As it turns out, Todoroki, Deku, and Bakugo are not the UA students we'll be following around. No, instead, we're going to be paying attention to FROPPY, Uraraka, and Nijiri during their work studies in an anime original episode. I know people aren't always the biggest fans of filler like this, but I think My Hero has a pretty decent track record when it comes to making filler a decent experience. It's also so far and few in between that I think anyone could really be that upset about it. Anyhow, let's just take a look at what they're up to. Naturally, they've continued their work studies with the number 10 hero, Ryukyu, so they're bound to be involved with some big missions. So at the beginning of the episode, we see Uraraka showing off her new costume to her team to much praise. When Nijiri asks about why she got a new costume made, Uraraka thinks back to her encounter with Deku when Black Whip exploded from him. This thought causes her to blush, and she decides to keep it a secret. The young heroes are then treated to some delicious snacks as a reward for a good first day back at their work study. Good for them, they earned it. After the intro, we get a look at a news report on a big explosion at a factory that was producing Trigger. Similar to the booster drug we saw in Season 4, Trigger is an injection type of drug that gives quirks a huge boost in power. Ryukyu's sidekick mentions that all the chemicals used for refining the drug were stolen before the outbreak of the fire, so there's the assumption that the fire was caused intentionally to cover up evidence. But is that just a rumor? Well, I'm gonna guess not, since we're getting this episode. We get a cut to the first hero FROPPY worked with all the way back in Season 2, Selkie. His crew is chasing down an undefined and unidentified ship, and are attempting to make them pull over. Some dude comes out and stands on top of the cargo and shoots himself up with something. Oh man, I wonder what it could be. Whatever he shoots himself up with causes his eyes to go red, and oh god. I'm guessing his quirk allows him to shoot out a smokescreen, but that's just vile. Why? Why would they open up holes all over his body? Disgusting. Moving on from that, the smokescreen allows the ship to go into hiding thanks to the complex island structure of the area. In need of assistance, Selkie asks his sidekick Sirius to request a team up. But who could they be requesting help from? Well, of course, it was going to be the group of heroes we were following this week. Team Ryukyu shows up ready to help right away, making Selkie very happy. Like Sirius, Ryukyu doesn't find Selkie's cutesy faces very cute. However, to the surprise of no one, Nijiri does. Selkie and FROPPY then have a little bit of a reunion and reminisce about their internship together. Again, Selkie gets all happy and makes his cute face. Ryukyu is still not impressed, but FROPPY loves it just as much as she always has. That said, Selkie needs to get to the point and get the mission started. And it's a beach episode. It wouldn't be anime without a beach episode. Ryukyu is a little confused by this, but Selkie says it's good for them to have some fun before a big mission, especially since the ship most likely won't be moving until nightfall anyhow. I mean, hey, makes sense to me. So, while we wait for the heroes to do some heroing, let's see what activities they decide to partake in. There's volleyball, of course. FROPPY and Sirius going for a nice dive afterwards, meeting a nice sea turtle while down there, then partaking in some tasty barbecue. Just some good fun. We cut over to the drug smugglers who are hiding in a little cove discussing their next course of action. As Selkie expects, they intend to wait until night to make a move, keeping some Trigger on standby in case they need it. Nightfall is upon them, and it's time for the teams to move out. Ryukyu and Nijiri decide to take to the skies while FROPPY and Uraraka stay at sea with Selkie's crew. Present Mike comes through with a quirk explanation for Ryukyu and Nijiri. Ryukyu's quirk, Dragon, turns her into, get this, a dragon. Crazy, right? As for Nijiri, her quirk, Surge, turns her life force into energy that can shoot out as shockwaves. By controlling those waves, it allows her the ability to fly. Now, she is one of the big three, so I'm sure that much might not weaken her by any means. but you think it'd be smarter for her to be on Ryukyu's back instead so she can conserve energy. I mean, both of them flying separately would be the best thing to do, as it allows them to get more coverage from up in the skies. But they're pretty much flying next to each other. I don't know, it just seemed like a bit of a waste. Maybe they split up a bit when they're not on screen. Back at the Oki Mariner, Selkie tells Sirius to keep an ear out for his Morse code and heads out with FROPPY. In fact, he tells her to grab onto his back. See, Selkie knows what's up. Present Mike also comes through with a not particularly needed quirk breakdown for Selkie. He's basically a seal. That's it. I kind of feel bad for Uraraka as she gets left at the Oki Mariner with a bunch of people she's only just met while the other two girls are with heroes they're familiar with. But at the end of the day, that's just how it goes sometimes in the world of heroes. So it's good practical experience for her. Now that it's darker, the villains set sail on their escape attempt. They're almost immediately discovered by Selkie, who then sends that message out to Sirius to inform everyone of the ship's location. Hey, Present Mike, what's Sirius's quirk? Oh, it's a good ear? What's it do? Oh, I see. It gives her some good ears. Thanks for that, buddy. The villains get a good look at Ryukyu from the sky and the Oki Mariner approaching from the distance. So, Smokescreen Guy just jumps right to shooting up some trigger. And good God, just please stop with these holes, man. It's so vile. Anyways, the smokescreen isn't helping them out this time around since Selkie and FROPPY had an eye on them from underwater. Having so much smokescreen out actually ends up being bad for the villains, as Selkie was able to use its camouflaging capabilities to his own advantage. He's actually pretty intimidating, making his sonar clicking sounds while being concealed in the smoke. It's all dark, you don't know what's going on, and then BAM! He just decks you. Selkie was able to successfully take over the boat. However, the cargo behind the boat wasn't cargo at all. It was a plane filled with drugs, and it's about to take off. FROPPY tries to hop onto it using her unbelievably long tongue, but she's a little too short. Ryukyu and Nijiri are also unable to keep up with it, as it's a pretty fast plane. However, Uraraka and Sirius have a plan to catch it. She makes herself weightless and is catapulted off the boat. Then, while in the air, she shows off a new feature of her suit, grappling hooks. Guess Black Whip really inspired her, and it certainly helped out here as she was able to successfully attach herself to the plane. As she gets on board, she makes the dude flying the plane weightless, and knocks him out with gunhead martial arts. Well, now there's a problem. No one's flying the plane. She attempts to fly it herself, but it's completely unstable. FROPPY suggests she hop out, but Uraraka says can't have the chemicals getting into the ocean and messing up the ecosystem. When asked to make the plane weightless, she says she can't because it's too big. However, she can't just give up either. So Ryukyu and Nijiri work together to stabilize the plane while Uraraka gives it everything she's got to make it weightless. Their plan succeeds, and Ryukyu is able to bring it down into the water safely, with Uraraka only getting a bit sick in the end. With the mission ended, they all head back to the island they were on and continue their beach escapades. In the police questioning rundown, Selkie says that the smugglers were just transporting the drugs for someone and really had no idea who it was for and what their intentions were with drugs. The only thing they know was that they were heading for a European country named Otheon. In the end, while they didn't end up getting to know the bigger plan at work, Selkie's glad at least they halted this plan for the time being, putting a big smile on his face, much to Ryukyu's chagrin. Finally, we get a post-credits scene of the villain that orchestrated the transport, and it's none other than the villain, Fleckturn, from the upcoming third movie. He's not too disappointed by the hero stopping the shipment of Trigger, as he already has enough for his plan, which I guess is the salvation of humanity. Whatever that means. I guess we'll know when the movie's out. But that's the episode, folks. As always, for a filler episode, it was not bad by any means. It's definitely fun in its own right. I will say from the serious tone we've had for the last 4 episodes or so, it was definitely tempered a bit from this. Because it's filler, there were real no high stakes, and half of it was them having fun. Not that that's a bad thing, but something like this would have made more sense a little earlier in the season. But I digress. Tell me, what did you all think of today's episode? Did you like it, or would you have just preferred they stick to the source material? Definitely let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Before the video closes out, I just want to thank you so much for your support during this month of July. I'm uploading every day, and with all the different anime I'm covering, I know there's a little bit for everyone. Also, if you want a little more Mystic Sage, head on over to TikTok and check us out over there for more fun, bite-sized anime videos. I've also got an Amazon store where I sell tons of Pokemon and anime merch too, so check it out. For real this time though, thanks again for watching. I'm Mystic Sage, and I'll see you tomorrow with more amazing anime content.